What do you make of the Raiders firing Josh McDaniels on Halloween night? So I've got Marlon Brando, Bingo, and Tombstone. And we will combine all of these together, and we are going to get a nice golden parachute. Because unlike the real world, like when I've lost radio jobs, as you know, I'm bad at this, so I've been terminated before and kicked out and all that. And normally when you're given the boot, you might get a little bit of money. But when you're an NFL coach, I have no problem talking about coaches being fired in the NFL and spitting all over them because they get massive checks when they get canned. Okay, Josh McDaniels doesn't have to worry about paying his mortgage or his car payment. He's good. He gets a golden handshake on his way out of the Raider facility. But to lead off here, I am only surprised in the sense that the Raiders are a team that does not seem to want to spend all that much money on coaches. And they're going to spend a ton of money. Just I can't imagine, because John Gruden's in a legal battle right now at the NFL, and there are many legal experts that think Gruden's got a great chance of winning, which means he's going to get a whole lot more money, and that's going to come a lot of it from the Raiders in that lawsuit against the NFL. So they've already paid Gruden a settlement. They're probably going to have to pay him more. Now they've got to pay Josh McDaniels for 4 years. And, oh, by the way, now they have to hire a third coach. So they will be paying 3 head coaches. 3 head coaches. Now, when you take a step back and you look around at what's going on the field, right, you look across the gridiron, it is a no-brainer. Josh McDaniels managed to do the impossible. He has been tangibly worse coaching the Raiders than he did in Denver. As we said in a previous hour of the show, all of that talk, all of that media nonsense from fanboys in the media that love Josh McDaniels, and they love a good story. They like the good story, the rags to riches story. Josh McDaniels had matured. He had grown up since he last coached in the NFL with the Broncos. He realized what he did wrong, and he will not make those same mistakes again. That was the story. You know what that was? Wasted gigabytes, wasted space on the interweb as Josh McDaniels. Maybe he didn't make the same mistakes, but he found a whole bunch of other mistakes to make. McDaniels is one of these guys, and every generation of coaches has it, where he's apparently fine as a subordinate as long as he is with the Patriots and he's second fiddle to Belichick. But if you have him go out on his own, he fails. And he fails spectacularly. And so now he's found an avenue of escape, a tremendous amount of money. And yeah, he'll be uprooted. He'll leave Vegas and likely head back to the Patriots and all that. But he earned it. He earned the pink slip because he was horrific. Not only a football coach, he sucked. And he had been bombarded. Josh McDaniels had been bombarded from all sides with the Raiders, right? Let's go through the list. The Raider fan hated him. The Raider Nation loathed Josh McDaniels. From the very beginning, why? Patriot. What is the darkest day for the Raider franchise in recent generations? Yeah, that's right. The tuck rule game. That is the low point, and that is tied to anything connected to the Patriots, and Josh McDaniels is tied to that. Now, the pivot point, though, was not the fans razzing Mark Davis. We had some video that popped up on the interweb recently. Mark Davis was at a celebration for some women's basketball team that won a title, and Mark Davis was confronted by a Raider fan saying, fire Josh McDaniels. We've seen Mark Davis at Raider games cursing Josh McDaniels' decision-making. But the pivot point was ultimately losing the locker room. The Raiders played like a team trying to get the coach fired on Monday night. You normally don't see that in football. You see that more in basketball, but it happened in football. Lethargic, lifeless. This was, make no mistake, what happened with the Raiders was a Marlon Brando special. Mutiny on the bounty. A dereliction of duties, insubordination, and for the most part, the Raiders have performed like that since McDaniels arrived in Nevada. If you look at the numbers, what is the claim to fame for Josh McDaniels? The claim to fame is this guy is an offensive maestro. He is a conductor of X's and O's. The Raiders right now, at the midway point of the season, the Raiders are 30th in scoring offense. Only the New England Patriots and the New York Giants are worse. And the Raiders are 31st in total offense. Only the Giants are worse than the Raiders this year at putting points on the board. And they were terrible. They hardly had the ball at all in the game on Monday night. Now, furthermore, how good a gig is the Raider job? I'm glad you asked. So when we ask a question like this, how good a job is the Raider job, we pull out a tool, the MALLER scale of goodness. Now, you might not own one of these, but they're very valuable when you do an overnight show. So the MALLER scale of goodness for the Raider job, 1 to 10, with 10 being, oh my God, you're coaching Patrick Mahomes. This is a 4. The Raider job is a 4. And I think I'm being Benny Brightside when I say it's a 4. The Raiders right now, if you look at the bingo card, there is a blank space on the bingo card at quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is a placeholder. He has looked old. He leads the NFL in mistakes. If you speak candidly behind the scenes to people in the NFL, they will tell you, boy, Garoppolo looks just broken. Now, is it possible that it's Josh McDaniels? You would think not, but maybe it is. The rest of the roster, it's kind of like trick-or-treating. You know how when you were a kid and you would trick-or-treat and you might go to like the neighbor's house that would give you the full-size Snicker bar, but then you'd go to the next house and they'd give you an apple or an orange, and that's a dud, right? The stud would be the full-size Snicker bar, the Butterfinger, the Baby Ruth. And the Raiders have some full-size Milky Way. They have some Three Musketeer full-size bag of M&Ms. They have the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. That would be like Devontae Adams. They got Jacobs in the backfield. They've got a couple of studs. Max Crosby certainly would be a stud on defense. But outside of that, there are a lot of duds. There's a lot of duds on this roster, and the Raiders have no home field advantage. Not that I'm a big home field advantage guy. I think that's highly overrated. But it's something that you would assume the Raiders would have because they are a team that has a national following. And Vegas is a wonderful city to visit. No wonder so many people do visit it. There is a fan base there. But the Raiders fan base, here's what I've noticed. And maybe I'm wrong on this. I mean, what do I know? I just talk in the middle of the night. But I've noticed the Raider fan base is in, I call it zombie mode, that they're just numb. They're just completely numb. It's like they've been drugged because they can't believe what's going on. There's sound. That was actually a real Raider fan right there. Actual microphone, hidden microphone. But they're just waiting. They're dormant. They're waiting for a reason to support the team again. Now, who gets the next Vegas coaching job? So looking at this objectively and knowing the finances, this is a family business. It's old family money. Mark Davis he's never earned anything. Right? He didn't know how to make money on his own. He just inherited. He won the genetic lottery. His father happened to make the Raiders what they are, and he died, and the kid got the team to run the team. He didn't own the whole thing, but he owns enough of it where he's in control, and he's a fixture there with the Raiders. So you're already paying 2 coaches a boatload of money. So that means the boilerplate next Raider coach, hotshot offensive wizard or defensive wizard from a winning team. So you look to this guy named, is it Ben, what's his last name? Johnson, I think, with the Lions. The offensive coordinator for the Lions is a hotshot guy. He's being credited with Jared Goff's return to glory there in Detroit. And whoever ends up winning the Super Bowl, you could poach somebody from Andy Reid's coaching staff in Kansas City if they win again. Philadelphia's coaching staff was absolutely rated after last year's Super Bowl. The only wild card here, I'm going to throw this out in the cosmos. The only big-name coach who I could see taking the job because they need to escape the job they have right now, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is on fire right now. On the field, Michigan is great, but there's this cheating scandal that is following Harbaugh around. And the NCAA does not like him. They felt that he was futzing around with their rules, and so if this is a kill shot for Harbaugh, and I don't believe that the NCAA is going to ultimately do too much to Michigan because they're good for television, and it's a TV show, and Michigan football is good for the business of television and college football. But that aside, if Jim Harbaugh does get into the dungeon, he can leave Michigan. He's a proven NFL coach. He was an assistant for the Raiders before he became a head coach. That is a scenario to keep an eye on. All right, now, parting shot. Do you think Josh McDaniels will ever be a head coach again in the NFL? Let's put it this way. There is a better chance that Ben Maller, leave the overnight job to become the commissioner of the NFL than Josh McDaniels gets a full-time permanent head coaching job. It is like the wild, wild west for Josh McDaniels, and his coaching career is on a tombstone. Okay, it is in Tombstone, Arizona. It is over. Turn out the lights. The party's over. Now, the good news is Josh McDaniels made a lot of money. Somewhere in Indianapolis, Jim Irsay is having a party right now because he wanted to hire this chicken in Josh McDaniels, and McDaniels turned him down. I was actually filling in on Boston Sports Radio the night that happened. It was around I think it was around this time of the year, if I remember correctly, that news came down. But anyway, McDaniels out, as he will likely go back to the Patriots. You got to think those wheels are already in motion, and the Raiders have an open spot. So if you want to coach the Raiders, contact Mark Davis. You may end up getting the gig.